Hello everybody, Landai here, and today I am back with another book review. I uploaded my first book review not too long ago. That was on Tail Chaser Song, and well, the book I finished after Tail Chaser Song was Howling by Christopher Rocchio. Before I get into this book specifically, I feel like I should, of course, talk about Sun Eater, the series that this is from, and its popularity. Sun Eater is this sprawling space opera epic by Christopher Rocchio that's relatively new. The first book released only in 2018, and it is just taken BookTube, at least fantasy and sci-fi BookTube, by storm. It is talked about all the time, is super well regarded, and so I decided to hop into it not long ago, thanks to a read-along over on the Captured by Words Discord server. And I liked the book. I rated it like about 3.5, I'd say. I thought it was a really interesting start, and it set up things, and the world building was really cool, and I could definitely see all the potential, but I didn't love it. I didn't love Empire Silence. I thought that the pacing was a bit rough, it was kind of uneven, and then character development was almost non-existent for a lot of side characters. Like Hadrian, he gets a lot of development, but everyone else is just kind of thrown to the wayside. And so it felt like there's something brewing here. There really is, but there needs to be more. But I definitely was hooked enough to hop into the second book. And of course, I finished it. That is what I'm going to be reviewing today. Hadrian Marlowe is lost. For half a century, he has searched the farther suns for the lost planet of Vorgosus, hoping to discover a way to contact the elusive alien Cielson. He has pursued false leads for years among the barbarian Normans as captain of a band of mercenaries, but Hadrian remains determined to make peace and bring an end to nearly 400 years of war. Desperate to find answers, Hadrian must venture beyond the security of the Solan Empire and among the extrasolarians who dwell between the stars. There, he will face not only the aliens he has come to offer peace, but contend with creatures that once were human, with traitors in his midst, and with a meeting that will bring him face to face with the oldest enemy of mankind. If he succeeds, he will usher in a peace unlike any in recorded history. If he fails, the galaxy will burn. So there is the synopsis for Book 2 in the Sun Eater series, Howling Dark, which of course I'm reviewing. And right off the bat, I'm just going to say this is much more exciting than Book 1. Book 1 has its moments for sure, but this book, right off the bat, things are happening and things are going on, and you're like, oh, okay, we know where we're going. We're not just kind of doing this and that and trying to figure out, no, we have a clear, concise idea of what we're doing here, and that direction just kind of gives this book already a lot more structure and interest. A part of that, what that makes this book just so cool, is that it includes much more space travel and action than the first book really did. I mean, the first book essentially takes place on one planet the entire time. You're just on this planet, and he's going through these phases in his life and his early years. Here, though, they're traveling in spaceships through the deep space, going to different little places and stations and planets, all these things. It's already right off the bat, yes, this is a lot more what I was thinking of and looking forward to when I hopped into the Sun Eater series, and that's right here. And also, action is just a lot more plentiful. There's plenty of scenes where there's just talking and character development and all these, but there are some really cool action scenes, especially, again, that climax. Just exciting stuff going on here. One of my biggest problems, I just mentioned it, for Empire Silence is the lack of character development for secondary characters, and this book really rectifies a lot of that. The secondary characters, they feel more like characters because they're actually here with Hadrian and not just one-off characters who come in for a few chapters and then leave. You know, like these are our mainstays, our main secondary characters, if that makes any sense. And so we get to learn more about them and their interactions with Hadrian, and that's really cool. And there's also a lot of cool new characters, concepts, and even places. I mean, I mentioned earlier planets and space stations and stuff, and that's really cool. But we also got just concepts and of course characters that kind of tie into that as well. But yeah, this book definitely introduces a lot of cool new things to the world, and that kind of ties in with cosmic horror. There's definitely some cosmic horror sprinkled in, definitely parts that are like, wow, that's crazy. You know, there's a whole layers upon layers that are added to this and make it go from kind of the small scale, like, well, where's this going to go, like, in book one, to like, oh, this is going places. This is some crazy stuff. So yeah, for sure that's in here. All this is positive because, frankly, I had a really good time with this book. My only gripe, my only negative is really almost like a non-issue. It's very small. I just think that at some parts, you know, there's certain scenes that just kind of linger. You're like, okay, I think we've been here just a little too long. I think we should move on to the next thing now. And usually, you know, it doesn't take too long after that. But still, it is worth mentioning to kind of try to be fair that, yes, there are some parts that just kind of linger. Like I said, you're just like, okay, let's get to the action. But when you get to the action again, it's just so fun. I have so many great things to say about this book. So here I'm going to get into some spoilers. This is for if you've already read the book, and if you haven't and don't want to be spoiled, you can skip ahead to a timestamp I put on the screen. But yeah, spoilers. The first thing I want to mention is that this guy right here, Karn Sagara, really interesting character. Like, not only is his design just cool, like this super cybernetic being that's basically immortal, it's like, wow, that's just cool. But just, again, everything about the way the character talks and the presence, just such a cool, like, I don't know if antagonist is probably not the right word, but just a character in this story. But some other things here I want to mention are Brethren, the AI. So just like, almost like eerie, like gives me the shivers, but in a good way. Like, that I believe is like, that's some of that cosmic horror, some of that like, oh, okay, just the description of what Brethren looks like, and just like how he's able to talk to Hadrian in his head. I don't know, really interesting stuff there. And the Quiet also, they're basically like the supernatural force in this story, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they play out and how they can be compared to like other supernatural elements in sci-fi. It's like, how do the Quiet compare to like the Force in Star Wars? Obviously very different, but yeah, things like that. And then Hadrian's death, this moment was truly shocking, because we know that he's going to survive because what it says, yet we see him die. It's like, what? And then, like, ow, that whole sequence, I had to like read that all just in one go, because I was just like, I finished that chapter, I'm like, what is what's going on? And so I had to read on. Wild stuff, man. This is going to be crazy. That, I know other people have talked about that moment. It is quite a moment, that's for sure. Well, there are my thoughts on Howling Dark, the second book in the Sun Eater series. And if you couldn't tell this already, I think this is an excellent book. Like, 5 out of 5 for sure. This is one of my favorite reads this year so far, and that's saying something, because I just talked about, you know, Tail Chaser's Song, which, again, another one of my favorites. And then, of course, my favorite for the first half of the year, The Shadow of What Was Lost, was also great. So there's some really good reads this year, and it's definitely up there. The series, though, the Sun Eater series, just so awesome. Like, after book 1, I'm like, all right, I'm interested. We'll see where this goes. After book 2, I'm like, all right, I'm on board. Let's do this. Let's finish this series. I'm all in. I'm hooked. Christopher Rocchio is just such a great author, and it's crazy because this is like his debut series, and it's just this good. So awesome stuff for sure. Well, there you have it. There's my review of Howling Dark. I enjoyed it a lot, and I fully recommend the Sun Eater series. Of course, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting or liking or whatever. It really helps. It's really awesome. And I guess all I have left to say is, until next time, see ya.